Hmm? Hello aspirants, welcome to Spardha Line. We are coming with one more new initiative called the Focus Line, where we are going to analyze a topic in a week in 360-degree manner. So you might have seen the lot of content present in the market which you find irrelevant. But in this initiative, what we'll do, we'll pick some topics which is in news in that day or in that week, and we'll do 360-degree analysis of that topic. So we'll extract what information needed for only for the prelims and the mains aspect. Okay, so we'll begin what to now. In last week, you would have seen this news. This news is related to the power of the governor and president to assign the bill. So the context is the April 8 judgment of the Supreme Court. So in April 8, what actually happened? Tamil Nadu government approached the Supreme Court, where the governor of Tamil Nadu was sitting on the 10 bill, and also he has referred some bills to president. So the 10 bills are pending for the long time, and in that this significant case called Tamil Nadu government versus governor of Tamil Nadu, Supreme Court given the time limit for the president and governor to act on the bill, and this development followed by when the Honorable President of India referred Supreme Court the same issue under Article 143, that is the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And in response to this, Supreme Court asked the state governments to act on this, give the response for this presidential reference. So these were the key development followed by this April 8 judgment. So what are the key takeaways? So first is the Article 143A1, which talks about the advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court. So in this article, where the president can ask the Supreme Court to give him her advice on the particular method. So, and again the method should be involve some law and fact of public importance. So this is about the Article 143. Then there are the prerequisites of Article 143. What are the prerequisites? That is, first prerequisite is satisfaction of precedent. Satisfaction of precedent on what matter? That the reference given to Supreme Court should be the public importance. The matter, whatever the President of India refers to the Supreme Court, that should be the important from the public order or the law. So this is the prerequisite, that is the satisfaction of precedent. And when it comes to satisfaction of precedent, we know that from the various interpretation of the Supreme Court, the satisfaction of is not of the president, that of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So this is about the prerequisites needed. But again, there are certain limitations and the discretion of the court. So what is the first limitation? The Supreme Court should bound itself to that matter referred by the president. So if Supreme Court wants to give his opinion, it should be based on the particular matter referred in that presidential reference. So this is the limitation of the Supreme Court. But again, there is discretion of the court also. In discretion of the court, where the Supreme Court can reject to advise. So this is the Supreme Court's discretion and the limitation of. So, and when it comes to this discretion and limitation, it is evolved throughout the period. So first, when it comes to the limitation, in this case, the Special Court Bill in 1978 case, where the Supreme Court interpreted the word may as its discretion. So where here Supreme Court said the word may, which mentioned in the article 143, that gives Supreme Court discretion. So Supreme Court has the power to reject it. So, and this is Supreme Court proven in some cases, where the first is the Ayodhya and Babri Masjid case in 1992, where Supreme Court rejected to give opinion on the presidential reference for this particular case, based on this, that litigation was pending in court. So the pending litigation, the one reason given by the Supreme Court, and plus in addition to this, Supreme Court highlighted the secularism of the constitution. So this is the case interpreted as the religious in nature, and Supreme Court is rejected to give his reference by citing the pending litigation and the secularism. So these are the two one example where the Supreme Court rejected its opinion. But when it comes to limitation, there is another one fact involves. Supreme Court can reject the opinion, but it has to give the reason behind the rejection. So next, again there was one case what known as Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal reference. In this case, Supreme Court Supreme Court given its opinion that presidential reference cannot be invoked to revisit or rewrite the judgment already settled. So this is the one more catch is there. So presidential reference can, through the presidential reference, the Honorable President of India can ask the Supreme Court on its advice on particular matter. But through the presidential reference, the government cannot ask the Supreme Court to revisit or revise its original judgment. So this is the one more case. So apart from this, if you want to see what is the actual crux in this particular case, then it is very straightforward. So what is the crux throughout this case? This is going to be important from perspective of prelims and the mains. We can use this as an example to cite the separation of the power, or so might be UPSC will directly ask some question based on these facts. So first, a presidential reference is only advisory. Whatever the advice Supreme Court gives through the presidential reference, it is non-binding also, and it is the only advisory in nature. It cannot overturn settled Supreme Court ruling. Just we saw in the Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal reference case. So it cannot overturn the settled dispute. Again, the natural resource allocation case, where the Supreme Court again reiterated no bars on presidential reference even after judgment if doesn't disturb the prior ruling. So if Supreme Court has given certain judgment, and Supreme Court has previously said that through this presidential reference the judgment cannot be revisited or revised, but there is no limitation on the president to invoke the presidential reference to refer the matter to Supreme Court again, but the condition is that it does not disturb the prior ruling. So this is the one more condition given by Supreme Court in the natural resource allocation case. So this case is become again important when it comes to separation of power. So next, court is not bound to accept or even entertain such a reference. So this is the again when we were discussing the Babri Masjid case. So that time the Supreme Court, where it is not accepted the reference given by the president. So Supreme Court is not bound to accept or entertain the presidential reference. So thus, what is the takeaways from this particular case is that in April 8 ruling on the governor's power, where the Honorable President's referred 14 question, where it involves the Article 200 and 201. Article 200 is the governor's power to assign the bill, and this is for the president's reference power. President's the power of government to reserve the bill for presidential assent. So these are the two articles which involved in this particular case. That April 8 judgment was majorly dealt with these two articles. So through the case, what we need to understand here, through the presidential reference, the judgment, the Supreme Court is not bound to revise or review its judgment, but it can revisit the judgment. But if you want to that overturn judgment, it can be only done through the legal procedure. That is, there need to be certain constitutional amendment, or Supreme Court on itself only can review its original judgment. So this is about this case. So now the Supreme Court has agreed to accept this reference, and it has reserved this judgment in mid of August. So that time we will see what the development happens, and again we'll see if some certain like significant development comes which becomes important from prelims perspective, then that time we will study this again. So this is for this article. The next, this is the quite significant development from the last week, where the Honorable Vice President of India, Jagdish Dhankar ji, he resigned abruptly. So after his resignation, there was the discussion going on who will be the Vice President or what will be the later development. But from our perspective, the process is very important, because the last year, if you see where the presidential election was happened in India and also France, that time UPSC asked how to compare the both procedure. So if mains is also coming in next month, so UPSC might ask question from this aspect. So we'll see what is exact the process, and we'll focus on the part where the others are not focusing. Okay, so this is the context that Honorable Vice President has resigned last week. So when it comes to election procedure, the procedure is governed by the two facts. First is the Article 324, where it gives the power to Election Commission of India to superintend, conduct the election for president and vice presidential post. And there is another act, Presidential and Vice Presidential Act, which separately deals with the election of the president and vice president. So these are the two, one is the constitutional article and second is the statutory act, becomes important when it comes to election of the vice president. So next is the process. What is the process? These are the static fact. We are just quickly go through it. The process is, it be elected by the members of Electoral College. So what is the Electoral College for vice presidential election is that MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Here the both MPs, that is elected MPs and nominated one, take the parts into election of the vice president. Now when it comes to election of the president of India, the members from the state legislature also take the part, but when it comes to vice president, only the members of the parliament takes part. Why it is? Because there is clear reason that the post of the president is the head of the state, and when it comes to vice president, the primary function is the preside over the Rajya Sabha. So that's why there is the difference in the election procedure of the president and vice president. So next, what is the condition? It should be conducted through system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. So this is the method used to elect the president. So tell me, what is the method used to elect the members of parliament in India? So next is the eligibility. Then again it is static part, where the eligibility is he should have completed 35 years of age. He should be eligible to election of Rajya Sabha, member of Rajya Sabha, and he should not hold the office of profit. So these are the certain conditions when it comes to decide the eligibility for the election of the post for vice president. Then the nomination procedure. This procedure is driven by the Presidential and Vice Presidential Act 1952, 52 and the same rules of 1974. So these are the two statutory conditions implemented when the election for post of vice president take place. Then this is the static part which you might have seen read in the standard books, but when it comes to the vice president, if you see the trends from the last 2-3 years, what UPSC purpose, they don't ask you what is written in the books, standard books. They will go and see the between the lines. So they will ask the question what is the mentioned in the book but not explained. They will ask you to go and search that particular part, and they will check your curiosity. So this is the some facts related to post of the election of the vice president. So this is the act and rules through which the election of vice president is governed. So then when it comes to notification of election, there is statutory limit within 16 days before the expiration of the term. So when the term of the sitting vice president about to end, 16th days before, the Election Commission of India should start the issue the notification and start the procedure. Again, there is another fact involved where the student get confused. Constitution has expressly provided election of vice president shall be by secret ballot. So the member of parliaments or the members of Electoral College for the post of vice president are not bound by the direction of given by their party. They can act their own. So secret ballot, what it means, the political party cannot issue any whip for their MPs in matter of voting in the vice presidential election. So this is the one more catch here. The president election of the seat for vice president will be held in with secret ballot, and the whip cannot be issued. Then the next, the section 4 of Presidential and Vice President Act, the entire election process from the date of notification to date of poll must be completed within 32 days. So this is the statutory limit on Election Commission to complete the process. Okay, so if you see the constitutional limitation, Constitution says that post of vice president should not be vacant for the 6 months. It is interpretation. So what Constitution says, there should be election for the post of vice president. When it fall vacant, it should be filled within the 6 months. But the Presidential and Vice Presidential Act put statutory limit on the Election Commission to complete the process within 32 days. And again, the same act put this limit on the Election Commission to start the process or issue the notification before 16th day of expiration of the term. Okay, so these are the two packs, 32 days and 16 days. Don't get confused. This is for the before the end of term. 16th day before, Election Commission should issue the notification, and after issuing the notification, the entire process should be covered within the 32 days. Okay, so this is the two facts which you need to know. Then there is no judicial review. Okay, there is no judicial review means where during the process. So what is it means? The court cannot intervene during the conduct of the election, but judicial review can be done when the results are declared. So this is the one more point. When the process is ongoing, that time judiciary cannot intervene and decide on the case, the election process. They can do judicial review only after declaration of the result. So there is one more fact related to it. When if the election of the vice president declared void, then what happens? Whatever the act or whatever the decision taken by the sitting vice president, it should be treated as authentic. Okay, so this is the one more fact. This belongs to static. So the through the discussion, we are about to finish this discussion. So what we are not going into standard what covers in the standard books covers or the other initiatives are covering. We are finding the line gaps between the lines, and we are focusing there only. So these are the two facts which are not written in standard books or not covered by the other initiatives. So this aspect we are covering. UPSC might ask the question because we have seen the previous trends where the these kinds of situation occurs. That time the UPSC tend to ask question on this aspect, and they also know we are using some standard books called like M. Lakshmikant, and everyone will be knowing these certain facts. But here they will go and ask the question. You can open the previous year question and see where whatever written in Lakshmikant they will ask, but they will focus whatever written mentioned in Lakshmikant and not explained it explicitly. So we are finishing discussion today. We will come tomorrow with some such a more informative and more interesting content. Thank you.